Welcome to Budapest!
And you're watching the Fantastic Four.
Okay, Eden, so where are we today?
We're in Budapest.
All right, that's correct, and we are hoping to see several of the sites here. Hoping to see a couple of different churches maybe, and House of Parliament. What else are we thinking?
A couple of World War II monuments that we want to check out. So
Yeah.
we're spending a couple days here and we hope to see it all. And we will share it with you as we go through Budapest.
The Pest side of Budapest, and I'm standing next to the Chain Bridge, which is sort of an iconic landmark here in the Budapest city. And an interesting fact about this bridge is that it was built in the 1800s, and it was the first bridge that connected Buda to Pest. Prior to that, they had to either take a ferry over to the other side, or they had to drive really far away, or I guess probably not drive, but walk or take horse buggy carriage really far away and get across. So anyway, the other interesting fact is that in World War II, this structure was bombed by the Germans and it was completely destroyed. But after the war, it was the first structure to be completely rebuilt. And it's built back to the original specifications. My favorite part though is the huge lions on either side of the bridge. They remind me of Aslan in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
So here we are on the Pest side of the Danube River, and I'm standing in front of the Budapest Parliament House, which is arguably Budapest's most famous building. It is just beautiful and stunning and huge, and we came here today to visit not only the Parliament House, but also several of the monuments around it, so we'll show you those a little bit later. So both the upper and lower houses of Hungary's government meet in the Budapest Parliament House, and it was finished in 1904. It is built out of limestone, and a lot of significant historical events happened around here, and again, we're going to go visit some of the monuments of those a little bit later. And yeah, we're glad to be able to be here and to share it with you.
So we are standing next to the House of Parliament here in Budapest, and this is Kossuth Square, which behind me is a huge monument, and in the center is Kossuth, who is a revered statesman here who fought for Hungarian independence. But interestingly, this square is where a terrible uprising happened in 1956, where there was a peaceful protest against Soviet rule, as I understand it, and there were some Soviet tanks here, and they opened fire upon the crowd, and I'm sure I'm not getting all the details accurate as because I just don't know the entire history.
Budapest is in revolt. With uncontrolled fury, crowds set fire to Russian flags and put Soviet books to the torch. The Red Star is sent tumbling into the gutter. Word comes of shooting on the other side of the city, and the rebels, armed now, run to the scene. As the rebels storm the building, the impossible is happening. A handful of heroes has shaken the communist world to its foundations. They have turned the tables on their Soviet tormentors. The rebels ride their tanks triumphantly through the streets. The Russians have given their word that they will withdraw all communist troops from Hungarian soil. Russian tanks rumble back into Budapest to turn that hope into heartbreak.
But I do know that I was eavesdropping on a tour guide, and he said that between 1,000 and 10,000 people died during the uprising, and that over 1 million rounds of ammunition was fired here in the square. And in fact, we'll show you some footage, but there are bullet holes on adjacent buildings here that have been sort of preserved and marked with, I don't know, maybe iron little plugs. And you can just see some of the bullet holes on the government buildings. So again, it's beautiful now and peaceful now, but it's sort of just a terrible sight of a terrible event that happened here in Hungarian history. Also interesting is you'll see that all the other sculptures have their heads bowed, and what I read was that they're just sort of expressing a sadness as to what happened here. So I am sitting here on the Pest side of the Danube River at a very moving sculpture site. Behind me, you'll see that there are 60 pairs of shoes sculpted out of iron, and it was actually placed here, this sculpture was placed here in 2005 to commemorate the Jews who lost their lives during World War II. And what would happen is the Arrow Cross militiamen would line Jews up here of all ages and all walks of life, and they would have them remove all of their belongings, their clothing, and also their shoes before they would shoot them at point-blank range in the back of their head. And the reason they did it here on the banks of the river was so that their bodies would fall forward into the river and then they wouldn't have to dispose of the bodies. It's a horrible, terrible tragedy that happened here, but this is a very beautiful and moving sculpture, and it's a monument that I think anyone who comes to Budapest should definitely take a look at. Here at St. Stephen's Basilica, which is a Roman Catholic church in Budapest. It's one of the largest churches here, and we assumed with the name St. Stephen's that it was named after St. Stephen, who was the first martyr of the Christian church, whose story is told in the book of Acts. However, what we learned is that St. Stephen's is actually named after the first king of Hungary. And interestingly, many people go into this church to visit a relic, which is housed in a glass-encased little golden domed house, for lack of a better term, and you can pay a few euros to have a look at it under light, and it's the mummified hand of the first king of Hungary, Stephen. So that was definitely something new for us to see a mummified hand on display. Anyway, the rest of the church is very, very beautiful. Everything is trimmed in gold. There are these beautiful candelabras. There's amazing artwork, as is typical in Roman cathedrals, Roman Catholic cathedrals. And another thing was that there was a tiny little chapel off on one corner, and in it was a beautiful piece of artwork called the Black Madonna, which featured Mary and Jesus with darker skin, which actually was really beautiful. So anyway, we're really glad we came and took a look at this very famous spot here in Budapest. In Budapest. We are actually on the Buda side of the river now, of the Danube, and the Fisherman Bastion is really a mock fortress. In other words, it was never really used for defensive purposes. In fact, it was finished in 1902, I believe, and it was completely built as a celebratory fortress to celebrate the 1,000-year anniversary of Hungary becoming a country.
And in the courtyard is a statue of St. Stephen, the first king of Hungary, and he's riding a horse. And we went to St. Stephen's Basilica, if you remember, a couple days ago, and saw his mummified and severed hand in the basilica for no apparent reason. And
it was adorned with rubies.
And
under a beautiful light in a golden little house.
Yes.
But his hand on the statue is intact. So the other thing that we notice is that he has a halo on his horse over there, and like Autumn said, they call him Saint. He's Saint Stephen, and we're not exactly sure why, but at any rate, this bastion, this huge, ginormous building, is beautiful and ornate, and seemed like a great way for them to celebrate such a milestone in their country. So I'm standing here in Kossuth Square, which is the biggest square in all of the entire country of Hungary. It was built to commemorate the 1000th year anniversary of the country, and it also commemorates sort of all of the chieftains who were there at the birth of the country. So that's kind of cool. There are equestrian chieftains that are around the bottom of this colonnade, but my favorite part of it is the tall, skinny column in the middle, and it's got the Archangel Gabriel at the top, and he's holding the two-crossed, I don't know, staff of Christianity, I guess. So I think that's really cool. And also another interesting fact is that underneath this huge square is the Kossuth Square metro station, and it's a UNESCO site. It's one of the oldest in the world. So we're super glad we saw this today. So for Mitch's 50th birthday, we decided to come to one of the many baths that Budapest is known for. This is a famous one that starts with an S. Mitch will have to put it at the bottom of the screen. Say something. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, we're super excited. It's supposed to be a super hot, medicinal, warm bath, which is great on this super cold day. I'm freezing.
Here, come over here.
So this is a Hungarian chimney cake, and I think you kind of say it like this. Kürtőskalács. I asked her how to say it, and I'm really bad at saying Hungarian words. But anyway, look at it. It's cinnamon. It's like it's like dough that was sort of I don't know what you say, smoked over a fire to cook it, and then sprinkled with cinnamon right afterwards, and it is amazing. And you can see it's called a chimney cake because it looks like a chimney and it's smoking. So that is a wrap for our time here in Budapest. We hope that you enjoyed our video, and if you did, it'd be great if you gave us a thumbs up on our video. As always, we would love to hear any of your comments in the comments section below, and it'd be great if you subscribe to our channel because we have a lot more videos coming your way. Thanks for watching. Bye.
How's the sausage?
The sausage is amazing. It's a venison sausage, and it is bursting with